Life is an amazing podcast, and it is presented and hosted by myself, Caro, and my sweet dog Sparky. Give it up for him. I hope you're ready. Enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of Go For Your Life. And I am here, which is actually strange because we're very close to each other, but I'm here in Amsterdam. And how did you call it again, Sabine? The
Upstate Amsterdam.
Upstate Amsterdam, exactly. It is very interesting for me to say that you are living in upstate. You're living in upstate Amsterdam, and I am sort of in south of Amsterdam, I guess. But yeah, Amsterdam to Amsterdam still. And we're talking today about, well, your company, your work, but also just who you are as a person. So welcome. Willkommen.
Thanks very much, Caro. It's lovely to be on your podcast. I've listened to so much of it. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so nice to have you. So let's start with with business first, because you're quite the boss lady. Not saying that you're a bossy lady. I'm just saying you're a boss lady. You have
nothing wrong with being a bossy lady.
Exactly. Also that.
One of those anti-feminist things that we're led to believe that for women it's not okay to be bossy sometimes. If you have to be bossy, just be bossy.
Exactly. We just said it at the same time. So you run a company called From Scratch, and when you look it up, it says From Scratch Copy for Change. And I find it also really interesting how much, it is about sustainability as well. And I mean, explain a little bit what you do and who you are with that.
So hi, I'm Sabine.
Yeah.
I run From Scratch, and the mission of From Scratch is to be or become the most sustainable copywriting agency on earth. It's a very high goal. Like, I don't have any misgivings about, I don't really believe that it's possible to ever achieve that. Also because there's no real competition. It's not like there's an official ranking somewhere on the internet that ranks copywriting agencies according to sustainability. But it's just a really good compass for us when we make decisions. Like, is that going to make us more sustainable or less sustainable? And what else can we do to clean up our act even more, to become even more fair and socially just, as well as environmentally friendly? Mm-hmm. And as you might guess from that mission, we also work with certain types of clients. All of our clients do, from green hosting to coaching for and it's like, it's all over the place. It's all kinds of industries because we like the variety. One thing that puts all of our clients in the same basket is that they really care about making the world a better place. Mm-hmm. And it's also about how we run the agency as a team, how we relate to build something like an oasis, a creative oasis where people like to work. We try to be the odd one out in the agency world. There's a lot of bad experience in the creative communities about what it's like working with agencies, where everything is money driven and the lowest price always wins, and there's a lot of pressure, and people don't really care for your ideas, and there's no room to grow, no relationship. You're an anonymous number on a list of freelancers, and we just want to be completely different. Mm-hmm. In that respect as well. And of course we also put our money where our mouth is. So apart from, of course, paying tax and stuff like that, we in this world I think it's not necessarily a given anymore when you look at big companies. Mm-hmm. But we also make donations to projects that benefit the SDGs in a very practical way. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, I'm kind of thinking about how to make the company a bit more activist rather than just driving sustainable development. So what else is there that we can do to speed up the transition to a more environmentally friendly and just society?
Wow, that's really, and when you say, because you say we a lot, like how many people are with you in this?
At the moment, we're 4 people. Mm-hmm. And I think we will have to grow a little bit this year to make it all work even better.
Because that's for full-time people then, and then working with freelancers.
Yeah, we're all kind of like, I'm the only person who's really working on this full-time. Everybody else is giving as much time as they want and can. Mm-hmm. They all have their own gigs at the same time. So we're coming together more as a collective rather than a traditional type of company where everybody is full-time employed, which gives us certain benefits as well. Because if someone feels like they don't want to work on a certain project, they don't have to. Like, it's really free choice. And it also means that everyone comes to this as a co-entrepreneur, you know. It's not like anyone is ever just receiving an order and carrying that out. Like, we're really coming to it as at eye level. And yeah, it changes the way you talk to each other, I believe, from experience as well.
Because like when you say, like, just to break that down, when you say, like, you know, copywriting, and as you do copy, you know, as you're saying, like copy for change, and also like how is sustainability within copywriting? How does that work? Like, what do you do to make it more sustainable than someone else who doesn't do it?
It's an interesting question. So on the one hand, a lot of our sustainability comes from just being deep in the sustainability conversation. Like Rika, for example, who's our project coordinator, she's a certified permaculture practitioner. And Julia on our team also put the two of us in touch. You know, she's a committed vegan. She's really about animal welfare and has probably been living this zero waste lifestyle since before that even was a thing. And it's the same with Nadine, who's always been a voice for the weak and oppressed in society, and that also carries through to non-human living beings. And so, and you know, I'm kind of in those more techie kind of spaces, but also more businessy kind of green businesses, sustainable development kind of conversations, online, in person. I've been a member of the Impact Hub for, I think, 3.5 years or something like this now. So those kinds of conversations about how can we make a living while also making the world a better place, that's been with me for years now. So I'm deep in those conversations, and that carries through, of course, to how we write copy. It also means we don't engage in things like greenwashing, or sometimes also called woke washing, easily, because we know what that is and we know where it begins and ends. And for those of your listeners who might not have heard about that before, that greenwashing is when you present your company as being more eco-friendly than it really is. And it happens quite often when you look at big companies, like let's say fossil fuel companies, who talk about making new fuels by using algae, for example, to come up with something you can put into your car. When in actual fact, when you look at the numbers, the percentage of their budget that they spend on that kind of research is minute compared to the research they put into fracking, into shale oil, into all of those destructive practices, and also into lobbying in favor of fossil fuels, rather than changing legislation and pushing for change, right? So they act as if they were green companies in some of their ads. But really, when you look at the numbers, it just doesn't add up. It's the same with woke washing, where especially I think in the fashion industries, we've seen brands bring out T-shirts that express some sort of support for example, Black Lives Matter. But when you look at their supply chains, it's quick to see that they actually exploit people who are non-white in their supply chain by not paying them properly, by not giving them labor rights, by not following up on their responsibility. That's what's called woke washing. So because we're quite aware of what that can look like in practice, we're not likely to help companies do any of that. And we also educate prospects about what those limits are, and that we don't want to help them do that kind of stuff. That's one thing. The other thing is just the ethics of copywriting. I think it's actually, ethical design is almost a couple of steps ahead of ethical copywriting. Probably because it's so easy to spot when there's a dark pattern in how we design a website. You know, when you see something being highlighted in color and it's trying to get you to do the wrong thing, that's much easier to see than when you are exposed to words or phrases and sentences, sometimes even the structure of a website. That's you're getting used to that, to certain types of manipulation, and we don't want to engage in those. We don't want people to buy because they're coerced into buying. We don't want them to feel manipulated. We want people, like, even when it's about making a sale, we still want the person reading the copy to be fully present with their critical mind as far as possible, and to make a decision that's best for them. And sometimes that decision is ideally not to buy anything, because that's always better for the planet. With our clients, hopefully when they buy from them, they're making a better choice than if they went to the competition, who don't care about the environment or about people. But still, even with the more eco-friendly, more fair options, often not buying anything is the better choice. So we want people not to engage in purchases that they will regret later, or where they feel like, actually, I'm not necessarily regretting it, but I wouldn't have needed it. You know, it's all of this sufficiency-based thinking. And because of that, I'm also one of the core team members of the Ethical Move. If you're interested in that, check it out at theethicalmove.org. We're a team of people working for a more ethical way to sell and market generally. And we want to create a social movement around that, and eventually, hopefully, a standard that companies can adopt and get certified for.
Amazing. Well, I definitely put that in the notes. And while you're speaking about this, I have a funny question in between, and then I have another question about something else. Because, you know, it's funny. Like me and my partner, we talk a lot about this. Like, you know, we are both very ethical as well. I mean, we're not copywriters like you, but, you know, of course, we also work and we have projects and stuff. And I do sometimes find that even when I was running my own cafe with my friend Lisa, it was like, wow, if we weren't so ethical, we would be richer. You know, like also making changes, being ethical. And do you see, like, just from sort of, you don't even have to think about the copywriter's mind, but can you be ethical but also get rich, or at least, you know, make good money? But does it exist ethically?
Yes, that's a great question, Carol.
Thank you, Sabine. I think so too.
I love it.
Please.
Yeah, it's a really good question, because one of the most common things I've found I started from scratch 4 years ago. And in that time, the most common thing I've heard from other people is, why do you go after a niche where you can't make any money? And part of, you know, I've got that rebellious side to myself. And part of why I stuck with it was just really to show the world that is possible. You can make a good living by living according to your values and choosing your clients that way, and also working that way. I just wanted to prove that point. And I think, you know, it's been a journey. I have to be honest, like there is no such thing as overnight 6-figure, 7-figure success. And anyone who tells you that, you know, I really question that, because often they just skip the biggest part of the story, and they just start the story right in the moment when success is about to happen. So yes, in the beginning it was tricky. It was really hard. There was so much I had to learn about myself, about how to run a business, about all of my the limits to what I felt comfortable with. I really like stepping out of my comfort zone, a daily practice. Absolutely not a new thing. I don't have to set myself a reminder or do a course or anything like that. It's just part of my daily life, and has been for the last couple of years. And coming from employment in a regular communications agency, it was a big step to being all by myself. I didn't have this cushion of doing this part-time as a freelancer and then gradually growing into a full-time role.
No.
It was like a cut, and then I was free. And it's like, how am I going to do this? But it's really, I think after two years of just sticking around and being there and being part of the conversations, making friends in the ethical space, and really being part of that, you know, I think that the secret is that if